Welcome back to the new edition of The City. I'm Anthony Wilson, the Public Information Officer for the City of San Angelo. And it's rodeo time, so joining us here today is Tom Thompson. He is the Marketing Director for the San Angelo Stock Show and Rodeo Association. Tom, thanks for being with us.
Glad to be here. It's that time of year, and there's nothing we like to do more than February than talk about rodeo.
Well, and that's true, and that was actually going to be my first question is, why is it, do you think, that San Angelo embraces this rodeo like no other community embraces a rodeo?
That's a question that a lot of people have looked at and said, it is really awesome what we do with a community of 100,000 people. We put on a show comparable to Houston, San Antonio, Austin. These towns have metropolitan populations. They probably pull, 1.5 million, 2, 3 million people from. Right here in San Angelo, with 113,000 in our total surrounding area, we put on a show, and it's just one of the best things we do here. And the town, the community has helped build this over 81 years, and they're passionate about it. The love for rodeo in San Angelo by far exceeds anything I've ever seen or experienced that I've had to deal with firsthand.
Give us the basics of this year's rodeo. Who, what, when, and where?
You know what, we're going to kick it off opening night, Valentine's. We're going to do 10 performances. It's all going to be right here in the Foster Communications Coliseum. We'll sell right at 5,000 seats every night. We hope to sell it out every night. We've got the best in the world coming here. If they were at the NFR or if they're at any major stock show and rodeo, they're coming here to participate. We just got our list from the PRCA. We're showing 1,260 entries, which is the most entries we've ever had. We've got 1,199 contestants coming. So it's the best in rodeo all right here in this arena on San Angelo dirt.
And the prices for your tickets, I believe, is unbelievably affordable.
We like to think that. Now, we're San Angelo and we love it, but our opening night's a $10 ticket. A couple of our midweek tickets are $12 and $15. Our Saturday nights are $20. Our final performance, the Cent Shootout, which is the first one to sell out, was a $30 ticket. But I think for a date night to go out and spend $20, you can't beat that in San Angelo.
Now, is there anything new and different at this year's Stock Show and Rodeo that people should be looking for?
Absolutely. We've got 3 new events we started this year. The first one to say is we kick off, we've expanded our stock show to cover 3 weekends. So it's going to start February 9th and it'll run all the way through February 24th. The Carnival, the Midway, and the Stock Show. We spread that out to help accommodate contestants that are running back and forth between here and other major livestock shows. February 9th, we're going to kick it off with the Funnel Cake 5,000. So if you're a jogger or a runner and you have anything to do with wanting to do a 5K, come run the Funnel Cake 5K at 10 o'clock Saturday morning, February 9th.
You have to eat a funnel cake during the run?
The name came up, and it's not my original one, but we won't make you eat one during the run, but we'd love for you to buy one at the end. And we're probably going to give as many away as I can afford, I'll put it that way. But we're excited about that. That's the first one of 3 events that are going on. Second thing we're having, on Thursday night, February 21st, we're having a Sips and Spurs wine tasting. We've looked at what other venues have done, and to reach a crowd that may not be a rodeo crowd, but has, let's say, a desire to go and do something along the wine tasting avenue, we're selling 100 tickets to the Spur Club for Thursday night. We're starting off at 5:30 in the evening. 2 local wineries are going to have a tasting. The Lone Star Catering Company is going to cater. Earl Mully is helping out with all the food, and everybody around San Angelo is familiar with Earl. And we're going to have the Sips and Spurs wine tasting on that Thursday night. In that, it's a $75 ticket, but we also include a ticket to the rodeo that night. So I like to point out to a lot of people, and I know my wife has hit me up for a ticket. She says, hey, I've got to buy her one. It's limited, but we think that's going to be a new kickoff event, an inaugural event that's new to the venue, and it'll give somebody else that maybe hasn't been a traditional patron of the rodeo a reason to come and check out. The third thing we're going to have is a junior trap shoot. A lot of livestock shows have looked at ways to increase their entries. San Antonio and San Angelo this year are having a junior trap shoot, and this is where the shooting sports from 4-H and FFA go to a trap field. And it's a participant event that's you've seen in 4-H and FFA for years. This year in July at the state event, they had over 1,300 contestants down there throughout the state of Texas. And I like to point out the championship, the national championship team, always is comprised of Texas shooting sports members. So it's got a strong heritage. Friday, February the 15th, we're having a junior trap shoot out at the San Angelo Claybird Range. And it's open to even to novice shooters that are enrolled in a shotgun shooting sports club. And the calls and the questions we've had about that have been great. And so we're really looking forward to having those 3 events go, and we're going to be really excited about pulling those 3 off.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about the scent shootout, and I believe this is the 2nd year that you are doing that. Explain what that is and how it's different from the rodeo finals.
Okay, traditionally we've had 9 performances. They're all Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association, and that's the abbreviation for that is PRCA, the acronym we use, and they have sanctioned that from Performance 1 through Performance 9. We had a conflicting schedule with San Antonio last year, but we're San Angelo. We want to finish up on a Saturday night. And we'd hate not to finish that night, but we had a conflict. We didn't want a professional that specializes in rodeo not to be able to come to both rodeos. So we moved our PRCA finals to 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday the 23rd, and we start the scent shootout. And what we've done with that, it's a non-PRCA performance. We invite the best we can in 5 events. We do the 3 rough stock, which is saddle bronc, bareback, and bull riding. Then we added barrel racing, that's a good timed event. And we're a roping town, and we have a very long and prestigious history throughout the world of rodeo as a roping community. So we added calf roping, tie down calf roping to that. So there's gonna be 5 events. We're going to invite 8 people. They'll all compete in one go round. The best 4 get to compete in the second go round. In the second go round, the winner of the 4 gets $10,000 winner take all. Last year, it was the most suspenseful thing we have ever done. Just 2 nights ago, I was talking with Casey Field, who is a world champion bareback rider, and we were talking about here at Angelo. And he said, I'm going to be there. Everything I want to do. He said, I was never in a building last year, and that includes the NFR, that had as much electricity as the Coliseum in Angelo on that Saturday night. So when you hear that from several people, you love what that is. And it's totally different from the standard rodeo. There's a winner. There's a contestant list of 8 you get to look at. We start with 8. You'll have a winner in about an hour and a half, and it is just electric in here.
Of course, not everyone, believe it or not, is a rodeo fan.
I'm with you.
But there's still a lot to do out at the fairgrounds during the stock show and rodeo, particularly the midway draws a lot of interest, obviously, among young people. Talk about what you have going on out at the midway and about your sneak a peek night.
Typically, our sneak a peek nights are going to be Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and we're working with W2 Retail this year, and we're going to do a canned food drive with them. So if you don't want to, admission's always $5 for 12 and up, and $2 for 11 under. Sneak a peek nights, we're doing a canned food drive the first 2 days of the show, which will be the 11th and 12th. Excuse me, they're not the first 2 days. It's the Monday and Tuesday following open weekend. We're going to consider that our sneak a peek night, which there's no admission fee. Come out here, check out all the rides. We've talked to Alan Cockerham with Carnival Americana, who's the Bill Hames Carnival for us. He's working on bringing the whole set. We try to tell him, we like all the things from the crazy ride to the twist of world to the zipper, and he tries to put the best he can from some of us all together. He's getting us a list right now, so I apologize for not having a complete list this morning, but we're going to get it up and published on our website real soon. But there's that. We've got the White Tigers are back. Our midway is packed full of food, rides, and fun, and it goes on every day.
And is there going to be a new hot fried food on the midway this year, a la the state fair?
When they burnt down their little, what was it
Big
called?
Tex.
Big Tex. When Big Tex went down, we all communicate, so we were all emailing and texting back and forth. We hope there's not a new fried food like that here in San Angelo, but our condolences to them. I think the largest thing we have here is a Ferris wheel, and we hope we don't have any problems. In fact, we've been 100% safe for a long time, so we're pretty good on that, but we hope we don't have a Big Tex.
Let's talk about the stock show just for a moment, because it is the real economic engine of this event for our community. How many participants are you going to have in your stock show this year?
I was talking to Brittany this morning. She's our livestock director, and I said, I need to know, give me a number about where we sit. She says, I'm going to do well over last year, so we're thinking about 55 exhibitors are going to come and have over 11,000 things they're going to show during the time.
5,500 exhibitors? 5,500
students, 4-H and FFA students are going to bring anything here from hogs to pigs to sheep, llamas, horses, steers, gilts, goats, the whole thing. And not only when they come, they bring their family too. And that is, we like to see that because that goes over 2 days. And just like what you said, if we're a family and you take your family to a stock show and you're showing, we say a rabbit for that matter, you're going to be there for about 1 or 2 days. You're going to be using all of the things that come with the trip. You're going to have a hotel, you're going to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, expenses that you go, and that's all economic impact to San Angelo. And so we love to say that the driving force behind it all is our stock show, and that brings the money to town to provide what we have here.
Now, for a newbie who has never been to a stock show before, is there an event that you would recommend that is sort of the quintessential stock show experience?
I would love to say that going in and watching, in San Angelo, we are the sheep and goat capital of the United States. If you were to go and watch the sheep and goat show, you would see there'll probably be 3,000 or 4,000 people in that building that day, in the livestock pavilion. They're sitting there, they're watching the show. It'll start at 9 in the morning and it'll go till probably 7 or 8 that night. But to me, that is the classic quintessential thing if you're San Angelo to go and watch. If your kid has ever wondered what 4-H is about, if you've ever wanted to sit and watch something, that would be the show that I would suggest here.
Now we only have about a minute left. You have a new $1 million plus barn. How are you going to be using that this year?
We're excited to have it, and we're running right down to the wire, and it should be completed here in a couple days, and we're going to start off. This year we were kind of in a situation where we were unsure exactly what the opening date is. We're going to have all of our kids and children's events in there this year. It's going to be the TXP Kids Corral is going to be in there. We're going to have our outside mutton busting, where any kid from any school, as long as they're 50 pounds or under, can come and mutton bust in that. That drew well over a couple thousand kids last year. We're going to have the petting zoo in there. There's several items we have to showcase it. Once we get it up and running, we're certainly going to develop this venue as we continue throughout the years.
If people want more information about this year's Stock Show and Rodeo, what's the best place for them to go get that?
Best way to do it is our newly revamped website, and it's sanangelorodeo.com. Every bit of information you want and then some is located on our website.
We've been talking with Tom Thompson. He is the marketing director for the San Angelo Stock Show and Rodeo Association. We'll be back in just a moment with our new Civic Events Manager, Angelica Pena. But first, we're going to spotlight another outstanding city employee.
I'm Monica Lozano, and I'm the Home Program Coordinator for the Neighborhood and Family Services Department, and I have been with the city for almost 5 years. I help people with purchasing a brand new home. First-time home buyers, we help with the down payment and the closing costs towards the purchase of the home. And they do have to go through the bank and get the loan, but they do come through us, and we help them with the down payment and the closing, so that they don't have to worry about that while they are purchasing their new home. I'm really happy to help these people, to see their faces, to know that they're actually going to be into their brand new home, and single mothers even by themselves, just first-time parents. They're all just excited, and I love to help them, find their new home. I like personally to help people out. It helps revitalize the neighborhoods, just again with the neighborhood blitzes that we also do. That's something that we take a part of as well. And I like to help the people. It helps the neighborhood look better, and it helps the people out in the long run. To me, it's just awesome to see all the employees for the city get together and do this for these people that are less fortunate, that cannot get out there and do it, or that cannot afford to do it. And a lot of people are on fixed incomes, and they can't do that. So it helps them, and it makes, again, their neighborhood look a lot better. We go out there and say we do 2 or 3 houses. Well, the people across the street, we were not able to do that. When on that day we see them out there, and they're helping the neighborhood, and they're trying to make their house look good too, because they know the people across the street are out there doing it, and they're cleaning up their alleys, cleaning up their yards, and trying to make the whole neighborhood in one whole look just as good as it does across the street. I like the people. It's very, very friendly. At my last job, it was like a repetitive job. I did the same thing every day at the same time. With this job, it's different. I mean, we have different clients come in, and I like to help the clients, so it's easier. It's a lot easier job than what I had before. It's more laid back. It's demanding, but it's not as demanding as my other job. Helping the people. Seeing the smile on their face when I'm giving them or handing over the check for their down payment and closing at the title company. I go to every closing, so just seeing them happy at what I'm doing, then it makes me feel better that I'm helping somebody out, and I'm making it better for them. My accomplishments here at the city, my previous job, I was basically at my highest that I could go. And since I've been here, I worked as an assistant for almost 4 years, and now I'm at a program coordinator. That's my that was my goal, to move up a little bit more, and I do want to continue to go to school to maybe move up a little bit more with the city. I actually have a 5-month-old, and so a lot of my time goes to him, and me and my husband just love spending time with him, and we go to the park and we play, and my husband is a big sports fan, so we like to go to football games and basketball games and just a lot of family time. We both come from big families. I have lived in San Angelo all my life, born and raised. I have not moved anywhere else. When the day goes by just like that, I love, because I know that I'm very productive that day. Sometimes if I don't have a person come in or that nobody comes in to pick up an application, I wonder what's going on. How come nobody's coming in? But when people are coming in all the time and trying to get applications and trying to apply for the program, that's a good day for me, because I feel like I'm going to help them eventually down the road.
Welcome back. Joining us now is our new Civic Events Manager, Angelica Pena, who manages Foster Communications Coliseum, where we host the rodeo and some of our other municipally owned facilities. Angelica, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Anthony.
Now, you've been the Civic Events Manager since October after working 7 years in our housing operation. Talk a little bit about why you wanted to come work in Civic Events.
Well, it's more like, why not? You know, Civic Events is really where things are happening, and I like to stay constantly in the know. One of the things that I really enjoy is always knowing what's coming to town and having that ability to forecast and see, WWE might be here, and me knowing that personally is actually one thing that I really enjoy. Secondly, I was ready for some professional development and growth. I worked with Bob Salas previously, and he was a great mentor. He actually pushed me to apply for the position. I knew I was ready, and then he felt, you know what, kid, I think you're ready. Go out and go for it. And so I generally appreciated that from his side, knowing that he thought that I was ready for it, and it's great. It's been a great job thus far. I'm excited about continually moving up, and I'm after Daniel Valenzuela's job, so he needs to kind of be on the lookout for that. So.
Our city manager.
Our city manager.
Now, there's often a lot of confusion as to what exactly Civic Events is and does. How do you explain to people what Civic Events is?
In the most basic sense, I tell people that it's not as glamorous as they might think. A lot of individuals feel that I bring big name concerts, I hobnob with celebrities, things like that, people that come in, and that's not the case at all, as you know. The majority of my job is facility maintenance, and that's not glamorous at all. Think of, your home, for instance, and you have to maintain your home when a water heater goes out, but our maintenance is on a much larger scale. I mean, I'm not worried about a 40-gallon water heater, I'm worried about a 1,000, 2,000-gallon boiler. So that part of it, people are surprised. They think, oh, that's what you have to deal with? It's probably one of the biggest things that I have to work on is our maintenance. So.
Now, what about the job thus far has surprised or challenged you?
One thing, and the reason this surprises me is because naturally I'm not a planner. When I get a call from somebody and they want to plan a wedding and they have their date for a year in advance, I'm thinking, what the heck, who does that? You're planning for an event that's going to take place 365 days later. That's slightly surprising to me. The other, probably more of a challenge, when you say surprise and challenge, is probably I'm gonna go out and say the maintenance is a big challenge. Also, learning the new department, it's completely different than where I came from. As far as funds, enterprise funds, I know that our hot funds have been really, really great. Our receipts for hotel, motel occupancy tax, having to really not have that money available to you, and you know that you need to use it for things like, a new Coliseum roof or something as simple as a convention center marquee, but not being able to do it because there's a process, and it's kind of a long, drawn-out process. I understand that it's necessary as far as capital improvements go, but it's a little bit frustrating to know that, I look out my window every day and I see that old marquee, and I'd really, really, really like to put in a new one, but I got to kind of sit back and wait. So that's been a bit of a challenge, wanting to do things, I guess, a little bit faster than I need to slow my roll and not go so fast. So
now you're obviously learning about the Civic Events division, but you bring in sort of an outside perspective in that regard, so you're looking at things with fresh eyes. What do you think are the biggest challenges that the division is facing at this moment?
Probably, I'm going to say the age of our facilities, specifically when we look at this one, the Coliseum, I mean, it's over 50 years old and it's definitely showing its age. If I had my druthers, I would knock this thing down and build a brand new one, but of course that's not something that I can do overnight. Keeping it going, keeping it running has been a really big challenge. I don't have to do that firsthand, but when I talk to our staff, specifically Jeff and Pat who work here on a daily basis, tell me things like the electrical, you know, having to duct tape it, having to really work towards getting our machinery to work, and it's hard for them to do their job because they're maintaining everything so much. So it's kind of a challenge when we have people that come and say, well, why is that ceiling tile so, you know, well, that's like one of the least of our worries. We would like to, you know, focus on that, but at the same time we've got so many other things to work on as well.
Do you have a strategy at this point for how you're wanting to tackle some of those issues?
Yes, and it involves spending money. I need to stay on top of the maintenance. I'd like to keep them as pristine as possible, but of course that takes money. I'd like to just really look at maybe what's causing and look at the root issue behind why do these ceiling tiles, you know, why are they so soiled? Well, it's because of the roof. You know, every time it rains, which is not often, but when it does, or when we have air conditioning condensation, it causes moisture, it gets into the tile. Actually, replacing that tile is more of a band-aid. We need to look at the larger problem, which is, in this case, the roof, and actually getting it replaced. So really having to look at, I need to prioritize and stress that to council, stress that to the taxpayers, and let them know, you know, we're going to have to spend some money here pretty quickly as far as to get all of our facilities up to par.
Now you're approaching your very first rodeo as the Civic Events Manager. Obviously that's the biggest event that you'll be hosting over the course of any given year. What are you expecting from that experience?
I'm expecting to sit down and enjoy it, at least for a little while. And then I know for a fact what I'm going to do is go around, go to the bathroom. I look and I'm so critical now of our facilities, and I feel like if I notice something and I think it's a problem, then someone else has already looked at it. You know, if I notice something like a long line in the concession stand, it's something that I like to see that because it's good for us. We have our private partnership with San Angelo Host, but on the other end, I'm looking at a watch and I'm thinking, well, how long have they been standing in line? Do we need more people? I'm more involved in the process as far as, you know, I can't just sit back and enjoy it most of the time because I'm worried about, you know, what's going on out there, making everything work, making sure that spotlight is right where it needs to be. Things that I wouldn't normally even notice, you know, but now being in this job, knowing all these things, it draws my attention to it.
What's it like to get a behind-the-scene glimpse of some of these events that you may have been going to your whole life and really seeing the inner workings of something like a symphony concert or a rodeo performance? Well,
it really opens your eyes, and like I said before, it's something that I didn't pay attention. For instance, with the symphony, their sound, for instance, we've been in other events where I'm sitting down and I'm trying to enjoy it, but then there's that little, you know, amplified, or there's some feedback, and I wouldn't have noticed it before, to be honest, but because I am very critical of our facilities and what we offer, I might pay more attention to that and really kind of hone in on that and think, I need to get with somebody else about that here pretty quickly. You know, I'm going to call Steve Collenbach and say, let's check out that sound, and, you know, trying to make it better for the people that are in attendance is really what I'm, maybe not so much, I'm worried about my enjoyment but more so for everyone that's here at the Coliseum or in the McNeese Convention Center.
Of course, the public focuses on these really large events that you host in places like Foster Communications Coliseum, rodeos and circuses and indoor football games and such. But most of what you do in civic events actually involves smaller, more private affairs, right?
Absolutely. Our venue, especially the McNeese Convention Center, is perfect for a private event. Weddings, quinceañeras, we have showcases. We just got through with the West Texas Bridal Showcase, which was a huge success. Those are smaller, kind of scaled down events. The private events too, we can even do something as small as a baby shower or a wedding shower. We've got that facility, the convention center, is actually very adaptable, and people don't realize although they see the main ballroom, we can break that thing down. It can be 1/3 and be a much smaller space, or you can, transfer to one of the other breakout rooms, such as the North Meeting Room or even upstairs. A lot of people, which is strange to me, someone told me the other day they didn't even realize that the convention center had an upstairs. And I was like, absolutely, it's beautiful. We even have a patio, and it looks really, really nice. So knowing that we have that facility and it's got so many uses, we typically like to book it during the week, and a lot of people are interested in doing their conventions or their meetings. We just had the Texas Wildlife Association that did a 2-day meeting, and that's really the majority of our business is the repeat people for smaller events, not necessarily just as big as the rodeo, but annual meetings that they hold, if they want to have a convention, things like that. So you're absolutely right. And
your rental rates compared to what you might rent a private facility, a privately owned facility, are actually extremely affordable.
They are. And pound for pound, we are really, really reasonable. And as far as what we offer, the location, the parking, all of the amenities that we offer, I think that we are not only reasonable, but very, very competitive. So one of the things that recently we did raise rates. That was approved by council back in July and actually in effect October 1st. And luckily for us, we haven't seen, any effect as far as people not wanting to rent it, because I think that was one of the issues that maybe city council might have had. If you're going to raise the rates, less people are going to rent it, but that has not been the case, and it's actually, we're still as busy as we've ever been. So
I'm going to let you make a little plug here for facility rentals. If people want to either know more about renting a facility, or if they want to rent a facility, how can they go about doing that?
They would contact our office. Lori Davila is our contract facilitator. She's excellent. She's been there 15 years and she knows everything. As far as the minor details of you planning your event, she'll remind you, well, how many place settings do you need, things like that. She'd be the first point of contact, and she can be contacted at area code 325-653-9577. She's just full of a wealth of knowledge. She knows so much, doing it for 15 years, She's so friendly, she's very professional and very good to work with, so I depend on her quite a bit.
And on the city's website, you also have a link to your venues. It's sanangelotexas.us/venues if people want to go on and look at pictures and check out the rates themselves.
Absolutely, and there's even a link to purchase tickets. Any of our ticketed events, you can go to the city's website and purchase them. And we also, of course, have our outlets, which are Pinky's Liquor Store on South Abe. We have Barbed Wire and Roses at Sunset Mall. Goodfellow Air Force Base and their travel office is one, and then Blair's Western Wear, of course, which is probably our longest and most popular ticket outlet.
And the convention center itself.
And our convention center. We have the greatest box office. Actually, it's my favorite. So.
Very good. We've been talking with Angelica Pena. She is the Civic Events Manager for the city, and she's going to be so much better than the last guy was. We hope that you'll be back and join us for the next edition of The City.